Thank you, Mr. Haupt, coming today just from your future space. And we talked a little bit already about you, but I think it would be nice to hear a little bit what you did in life before you entered this future space.
Okay, I was for 40 years a teacher for physics, mathematics, philosophy, and astronomy at a high school. And for 15 years, I was a trainer for teachers. So I get into contact with young students who want to get a teacher and train them how to work and how to deal with young people and so on. And 20 years ago, I founded the SFN. I will speak about it for gifted students, and yeah, half a year ago, the future space for everybody.
And what was your motivation, to found that? We talked a lot about the necessities of the educational system, and that in many ways, kids don't get the means to develop their needs, and you were just a regular teacher in such a system. How did you survive and get this idea?
Yeah, the idea I got because I came into contact with very gifted young students in my physics classes, and they get no chance at school.
Why?
Yeah, because the teachers are not able to deal with them because they are high gifted. They have other ways to learn, and they don't need any instructions like that. That's one reason. The second reason is I looked for something for myself, because being only a teacher for 40 years, it seems not so good for me. And I'm looking, what can I do which is more than teaching? And so I got the idea to found the physics club, and then the SFN, and now the future space. But I was accompanied by a student from me. It is Lukas Radowski. He was a student 25 years ago, and he is very successful. He earns a lot of money, and he gave us all the money we need to do this. And this is more important than my work, because without money, you can't achieve anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we now, I think, should listen to your presentation, and then we will have probably some questions.
I think so. Okay. Yeah, I will speak about inquiry-based learning in regular education in the future space, and yeah, the SFN in English it's called Student Research Center. There are no such centers in outside Germany. Research is not about students; it's that young students do their own research. Yeah, can we?
Here.
Here. Yes, this one. Yeah. Okay. I can. Yeah. Yeah, the future space we found in June, or we opened it 3 weeks ago. It's an education institution for everyone. In the mornings, we have whole classes from grade 1 to 13. And the SFN, I founded more than 20 years ago. It's for gifted high school students. And it's not for whole classes, because the students do their own research. They're in small groups, 2, 3, 4 students. During Corona, sometimes we have groups only with 1 student. It's a pity, but it is so. Yeah, the SFN is a state institution, and the Future Space is a non-profit limited liability company. In Germany, we call it GmbH, also GmbH. Yeah, about me, I told it's okay, we can change it. Yeah, we have a mission. Physics lessons very often are like Latin lessons. You learn vocabulary, but you don't read. And at the SFN and the Future Space, we not only read, we write our own stories. I think that's a different. we want that young students understand science by doing their own active research and or self-responsible inquiry-based learning. And that means we have to have a role change from teacher to coach. That's a very important thing. I think everybody knows Montessori helped me doing it myself. It's more than 120 years old. We live this. It's our mission that other teachers, other young students work like this. Yeah, we have just to put the brake pads away, then everything works. Independently, if the students are 12 or 13 or 18 or 20 from China, from other countries, it works everywhere and with every age.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because this, I like the sentence, put the brakes away.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, what are these brakes and how do you put them away?
Oh yeah, interesting question. Yeah, what are the brakes? The brakes are the brakes of the institution school.
Oh, not all. I thought their own brakes.
No, not their own brakes.
Institution.
The institution
Holds people.
Yeah, the other teachers, you don't have to do this. Don't think in your own way. Think like I teach you and give the answers I want to hear. These are the brakes. And taking the brakes away, that means we let them do. That's very easy.
Which is very,
Okay.
That's nice.
Okay, we work together with a neurological scientist, and he finds out that in grade 1 to 6, the brain during learning waits for input from the outside. And at grade 9 to 13, during learning processes, the brain only needs input from inside. Only 5–6% is coming from the outside. And so we changed dealing with young students. Grade 1 to 6, we call it modeling. We help them why they explore, why they learn. For the older ones, we are coaches. That means we help them doing their own research. And at grade 7, 8, when everything is changing, we build a scaffolding, and they have to fill it with their own ideas. But we don't let them alone. That's very important. They have to help, or they need help from us.
Have support.
Support.
And to have more input from the inside, what do you mean by inside?
Inside means from your own ideas, your own brain. Input from outside is that the school is doing, giving tasks, controlling the task, giving lectures, something like that. And inside is thinking about your own ideas and try to realize your own ideas.
Your own dreams.
Your dreams. Yeah, that's right. Dreaming is very important for learning. In the future space, we have surrounding which is interesting, nice, with plants and furniture, because you need a surrounding which you find nice and good, and then you are able to learn. Not as in most of the schools in Germany. You have only a table, a seat, and a blackboard, and something like this. Short look to the SFN. Are 2 buildings, a research building, a bigger one, and a small storage building. We have 4 floors with a lot of equipment. You can read it: a chemistry lab, biology lab, an observatory, an electron microscope, and so on. This equipment is for the research teams. It's not for classes, and the rooms are small, only for 3 or 4 students. And important, all these equipment is used by students. It's not used by teachers for students. The students work with an electron microscope, which costs about 500,000 euros.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's expensive.
The youngest one was 10. We trained him one afternoon, and then he can use it by himself.
So you need to trust them.
Yeah, that's a very important word. trust.
Mm.
We trust them that they can deal it, and they trust us that we do the right things for them.
Mhm.
Trust is a very, at school, trust is not so good.
Mm.
Young students don't trust their teachers, and teachers never trust their students that they can deal with the things alone.
How come? How is this atmosphere coming up in a school? Because that's devastating.
Yeah, I think it. Just wait a minute. I have a slide where you can read why this atmosphere is at school. Yeah, we have some pictures here from working groups or research groups at the SFN. And yeah, this is future space. We have some curriculum subjects: physics, music, sound, biology, genetics, solar power, and so on. And you see, this is future space, our cafe, where we meet with the students, and then small, I call it learning islands, because yeah, 4 students are on one island, and then they can explore all the surrounding and can change afterwards to another island. So most part of future space is filled with small islands for learning.
And do they help each other?
Yeah, that's all.
in the-
That's
they
important.
learn
Yeah,
from each
yeah.
other?
You see, the walls are not so high, so that so you have an overview about everything.
Okay.
That's very important. Yeah, for internet access, we have virtual reality, augmented reality. In terrace schools, grade 1 to 4. We have summer camps this year in 7 towns in Hesse for STEM subjects. During the documenta, we have 100 days of STEM lectures, workshops.
Can you say what STEM is?
STEM is the same as MINT in Germany.
Mhm.
So, scientific, technology, engineering, mathematics. In Germany, we call it MINT, but nobody in outside Germany knows what MINT is. Yeah.
It's a nice name.
Yeah. So I use the English expression. Yeah, at Future Space, we work with the groups, the teachers watch, participate, and the teachers learn how they overcome their own fear working with independently students.
Mhm.
Because teachers have fear to do this. And at Future Space, they can watch their students and can recognize, oh, it's working.
So it is an
A
educational.
problem or?
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's reconnecting. Maybe just less connection. No problem.
I continue.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Is it also then a space for teachers to gain confidence and change the way they think and the way they interact with their students?
It's not only a space for young students, for teachers too.
Uh-huh.
They watch their students and they recognize, oh, it's working. Maybe I try it by myself in my own class. That's our mission.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. The last sentence here is important. The role change is for both sides.
Mhm.
The teachers have to change their roles, and the students also, because the students have to gain confidence that they are able to work like this. So we have 2 role changes, which are necessary.
That's really interesting. And we were talking with Faith also about that, how she took this hockey, like activity to gain confidence as a woman, as a young woman in Nairobi, to be able, to grow and develop.
Yeah, that's right.
So self-confidence would be like an important concept here or element for future learning experiences or
that's
models.
Right.
That's
the most important. I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You asked me what is wrong at schools. Here you can read it. What teachers are not allowed to do.
in the space.
Yeah, no,
In the school system.
School systems,
Okay.
but they like it and they do it.
Yeah.
At first, decide everything, plan everything, explain everything, correct everything, structure everything, feeling responsible for everything, control, solve all problems, visualize everything, always give instructions, write everything down at the blackboard, dictate everything. This is what teachers do during the lessons, but they should not be done by teachers. But teachers like it, and sometimes I think that people try to get a teacher because they like working like this.
They feel power.
Yeah, they feel power. That's the right word. Yeah, and in self-responsible working, there is a lot of things which they can do. Restructuring, moderate, organize the framework conditions, advise. They change their role to an advisor. Creating work-based islands. I've told you, you don't need a big room. You can do it in the classroom because the islands could be in the brains of the students. They don't need physical. Yeah. Allow learning detours. Allow mistakes. Lead and structure by objectives. Very often, only the teacher knows what is the objective of the lesson. And young students, at the end of the lesson, or sometimes not even then, oh, this is why we done this.
What it was about.
But that's wrong. You have to start with an objective, and it should be your own objective to learn this, and then learning works. And so on. A lot of things teachers could work, but it's not very often, even in Germany and in most other countries. I never met classes where this is realized. So I think
but this is surprising because I mean, Kassel has been in the forefront of teacher training to Professor Klafki, and I mean, all these things we know from research, and I think it's taught in university. Why is it not transformed in the school?
I don't know. I teach it to my during my referendars. I don't know the English word.
Teacher trainer.
Teacher. No, I teach this and
in training.
all they have done it at the final examination. They showed me that they
have to show it.
2 or 3 years later, they have forgotten everything. I don't know why it is. Because it should be much easier to prepare a lesson and to teach like a lecture. And I know some schools, for example, the Reform School in Kassel, they teach every day like this. It's daily teaching there. But I was in a lot of schools where it was very strange to realize such ideas.
But I mean, don't you think, like, if you are like in school for 13 years, you know, you have received such a way of teaching. You go to university, and in a way, the teaching in university is not much different. I mean, it's so ingrained. I mean, that your 2 years of training.
It's too less. That's why. You are taught like this as a student, and university is
much worse sometimes at school.
And so you have to change everything inside you. And I think you forgot this after 1 or 1.5 years of training. It's too less.
Some teachers in training say, I mean, in this training courses, I have maybe a week time to prepare this lesson, and so many objectives. I have to write a 10-page paper. I mean, in daily school life, I cannot do this. So is this also because the school life is so demanding that this preparation of free learning there's no time for that?
No, I don't think so, because I did it in all my classes about 10 or 15 years long. When I got a teacher trainer, I had less lessons, that's okay. But in mathematics, I worked for 2 years in in each class like this. I never give lessons. For 2 years, all the students learn by themselves. And I gained time because I could work with less gifted students. I have time for them. And I need not prepare everything because I gave them their own homework and they correct their own homework. It was not my task. They were responsible for their homework and for their learning. And they dealt with it because I make them to my partner. That's very important. You have to go away from being a teacher if you start teaching like this. Because young students have sensors inside and they recognize if you don't mean it by yourself, if you don't want it. If it's only a method, okay, it's a new method, let him do it. Next week, he changed the method. They must recognize your mission. And if they do this, they make your mission to their own mission, and then it works.
So it's again this trust thing. No?
Yeah, it's again trust. Yeah.
And commitment.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
That's
just
right.
know
Yeah,
it, but
yeah,
you feel it.
yeah. And so it's very difficult to teach it during training years, because if you don't have this feeling, and if you don't trust young students, you cannot learn it. Yeah, and then you change to a normal teacher, and you work like everybody works.
But this would mean an attitude change, no?
Yeah, yeah.
And to change attitudes is a long range work.
Yeah, that's right.
So do you have any idea how to implement this in teacher training? Because it has also a lot about your own biography, you know? The trusting, the self-confidence thing.
That's right. It was, during my work as a teacher trainer, it was implemented in teacher training. It was not easy because all my directors at the seminar should trust me that I do the right thing. But it was implemented, and but it changed when I leave it. That's the problem. And I think it's a long process, and this is why we found Future Space. Because we want to start with this process and continue it for years, for 10 years, 15 years, and hope that something will change. That's, I'm not sure, but it may be. We decided to start with from the bottom, not from authorities, because you can't give the order to work like this. Yeah, just you said you have your own commitment doing this, and so we have to start from the bottom with teachers, with students, and not with directors or authorities or communities or something like this.
As you said, the teacher need to experience themselves that it is working, and then they get this.
That's right.
Bottom up.
Yeah. Bottom up. That's very important.
And don't you think also that this trust and self-confidence in the young students is quite low these days, or is it very diverse?
I think it's low at the high schools. It's higher at younger ages, because I think that in grade 1 to 4, the teachers work like this with young students.
They're more advanced than the higher school.
And it stopped working when they go to higher schools. That's what I experienced, and I don't know why, but maybe it's another thinking about teaching at high school teachers. I don't know. Another training before, but at high school there is less confidence to work by yourself. All my students must learn it. I built small blocks for learning it. I teach them for 10 minutes, 14 minutes to get self-confidence, and then it worked. You cannot start at the beginning of a lesson, okay, we change everything. That's impossible. You have to train your students because they have to learn it, but it works. It takes 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then they are able to give them their own homework. They get enough confidence to find their own mistakes. You don't need to show them their mistakes. They learn by correcting the mistakes, and they have fear making mistakes. That's very important.
I have a question about this, about mistakes and about fear of failure, right? We live in a culture that constantly punishes failing, and that is very much success driven, and that is, pricing success and correctness. So making mistakes is like a high risk in an emotional and personal aspect, right? How do you think this could be, managed? How could this, fear of failure be supported?
I separate situations where I teach or where they learn from the situations where I give marks or assess them. Grades. And this is important. And then in mathematics, they are used to kill their mistakes and write only right things in their books. I let them leave the mistakes there, make comments on the side, why you've made it, what's the reason, what is the mistake. And they trained it. I read in a book of one of my students for weeks. Oh, I don't know how to deal with multiplication and subtraction. Because if you multiply, you have to do it first, and then you can subtract or add something. And they never got it. They changed everything. For weeks, they commented it. And after 3 or 4 weeks, I read, oh, I think I understand it. I have to look at the sign between the numbers. If there's a point or 2 points, I have to change, not going from left to right. I have to do this first. And 1 week later, it's okay, I know it. Everything is okay. And so you can train them to deal with mistakes, and they have no fear. And that's very, very important. Because we grown-ups, we learn by mistakes. Young students learn by success. And so the school is made by grown-ups, but the students are young, and they have another strategy for dealing with learning. And so we have to work like them. That's very important.
When I was at school and you did an exam and you had mistakes, there was like a big red X, and that was shocking, right? That was so shocking. As a kid, that is really, really emotional, right? Oh my God, ashamed and everything.
That's right.
So that should be off.
I have a closing question, because you said you also studied or taught philosophy. Because when you see the space, you see all these technical things, and the question is always like, what are we doing this for, or what are maybe about nuclear energy and all these things. Do you address in your future space too?
On Monday evening, a discussion with a 16-year-old student about how science works and how scientists Verantwortung
have responsibility.
Are responsible for their work, and it continues next Monday and next Wednesday. So we deal with it in small discussions or working groups. I think it's very important when you learn, you have to think about learning. And when you make science, you have to think about science. It belongs together. You cannot divide it. Now, I only do science. I don't think what's about it. And in the same way, young students have to think about how they learn, which are the problems of learning. Not only learn, they have to get confident in their own learning and think about learning. We call it metacognition in Germany. It's a very important part. And all my students did metacognition about their own work. That's very important.
Fantastic. But we have 1 minute left. What would be your final message for not only for students, but for teachers and also for parents and for policymakers in education? What would be your message for them?
In German, the word MINT is translated in another way. Mut, Innovation, Neugier, Tatendrang. I will try to translate it. Mut is courage, innovation, Neugier, being curious, and Tatendrang, do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would like to say this is important not only for young students, for teachers, for parents. Do it, try it, have courage to do it, and don't fear about that something could go wrong, because nothing can go wrong if all work together. Young students at the same height as you, it could not going wrong, because everything what happens is a success.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Klaus.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. It was nice being here and to talk with you.
It's been amazing. Yeah, it's been amazing. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.